A question came up this morning in a small group. A guy was trying to ask a question. He didn't know how to say it, but I knew exactly what he meant, and this is how I phrase it. Why does God get the credit for good things, all good things, but doesn't get the blame for bad things? Why is it that all good things come from the Father and should be requiring of praise and thanks, but when bad things happen that are not caused by sin or some wrongful action, why does God not get the blame, like natural disasters or disease? Um, Thanks. Love to hear your opinion on that and help me answer that to myself and to my friend.
All
See ya.
right. All right, Cameron. Yeah, and I hope I give you something that is helpful. God gets the credit for all the good things because God is good, and every good and perfect gift comes down from heaven, from the Father of lights, in whom there is no variation or shifting of shadows. That's in James chapter 1. All right. All right, so God gets the credit for the good stuff because he's good and he's the source of all good things. But wait a minute, there's a bunch of bad things out there too. Why doesn't he get the blame for the bad things? Well, you only get the blame for the bad things if you're doing the bad things. Blame is applied to those who are culpable, who are blameworthy, all right? And I don't know that I don't know why anybody would assume that God is doing the bad things like natural disasters and disease. So the simple answer is that one I just gave you. God gets credit for the good because he does good. He doesn't get blamed for the bad because he doesn't do the bad. Now, you might say, well, he allows it to happen. Well, that's true. My general take on this, and it's hard to look at every individual circumstance and say, here is the good God intends out of this bad circumstance. And by the way, I know you're in North Carolina. Greenville got hit really badly by that hurricane, last year or the year before? Just really wiped out whole areas. I get it. And so that's why this question comes up. But of course, a hurricane is only bad if it hurts people. If the hurricane only swamped a desert island somewhere, then it wouldn't be considered an evil thing. It's just the effect that it has on the people. So this is where it becomes difficult to properly characterize natural disasters as bad. I am not convinced that natural disasters are the result of, say, the fall of man. I mean, what's a tsunami? A tsunami is this engulfing wave. What caused the engulfing wave? An earthquake under the ocean. What caused the earthquake? Well, shifting tectonic plates, right? And why is that happening? Well, that seems to be a design feature that God has put into the earth to recycle stuff. That's a good thing, but it has a bad consequence under certain circumstances. That means when people get in the way of the tsunami. Now, why are people in the way of the tsunami? Because they chose to live in a place where a tsunami might hit them. I mean, I have a place in northern Wisconsin. I'm never going to get hit by a tsunami there. Might be a hurricane. No, not a hurricane, a tornado. We do have those come through, but not a tsunami. All right. So there's this unusual factor in bad natural disasters that humans have freedom to go places and do things that put them in the path of these, what probably would be considered morally neutral natural events that become problematic when we get hurt by them. Of course, you got Tornado Alley in Oklahoma or whatever, and so part of the element here to keep in mind is the element of freedom and choice that people have to choose to live places that then put them at risk for things like tsunamis, earthquakes, or tornadoes, or whatever. Okay? Maybe in a perfect world, those things wouldn't happen quite the same way. I'm not sure how that works. I haven't worked that out for myself. But I know the earthquake and tsunami thing has to do with tectonic plates shifting, and that seems like they shift for a good reason. There's a benefit for that. Another problem with the kind of bad language, or at least ambiguity about the bad things language, is that many things that seem bad initially are bad because they're painful or inconvenient for us. Oh man, the rain came through and the flood came through and it messed up my house and destroyed my furniture and stuff like that. So that would be bad or evil in our experience. I don't know why it would be morally, and this is a question I have. Maybe somebody can answer this, but why would it be morally bad that I was somehow significantly inconvenienced by some kind of natural event? Or I lost things that were valuable to me. I didn't like that. But why would that be evil just because I didn't like it? And then the other question is, what would be the outcome of this evil event in my own personal development? There were a lot of things I could look at. I'm not going to chronicle these right now, but there are many things I can look back at in my life. And it's not just that I see the silver lining or the gilded edge or whatever, these dark things that happen, but I realized that the silver lining was more than just a lining, that what good came out of it eventually completely, in my mind, justified the difficulty of the whole hardship to begin with. That the changes were so profound that even though I wouldn't want to go back through those hardships again, I am glad that I endured it for the benefit of what resulted. That reminds me of the Hebrews passage, chapter 12. Jesus, who, the author and perfecter of our faith, who we're supposed to fix our eyes on, that text says, who endured the cross, despising the shame, for the joy set before him, and then sat down at the right hand of the Father. Okay, this was not fun. He despised the shame of the cross, but there was a joy that would come from it that would be something better that would result, that would justify it. In fact, there's an application further on in the chapter that's made for us in our dealings with God. That God, the text says, God disciplines everybody, every son that he receives, like a good father. You know, our parents disciplined us for our good, but they were imperfect in doing it. God does it for our holiness. And then the author goes on to acknowledge all discipline for the moment is not joyful, but sorrowful, right? Just like Jesus despising the shame, endured the cross. All discipline for us is not joyful, but sorrowful. There's a parallel there. And also this parallel too, but afterwards, for those who have been trained by it, it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. So in both cases, in Jesus' case and in our case, we have something we endure that's not good in the moment, not subjectively, but has a consequence that makes the difficulty worth it. And so the author is looking at Jesus' circumstance, and he's telling us to be like Jesus. Fix our eyes on him, the author and perfecter of our faith. Here's what happened to him, and here was the result. And guess what? God is allowing this to happen. Notice that the object there is not how to go through these trials that just get to you and assault you. No, it's the Father who is disciplining us for a good purpose. And that's no fun, not joyful, but sorrowful, until afterwards it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. So all of this has to be taken into consideration. Even the bad things turn out in many cases to be good. And so we can rejoice in the good that God brings out of the otherwise bad things, even if the bad things are just sometimes really bad inconvenience for us. Nevertheless, it's no fun. And this is where God can take this thing, and by the way, many of the bad things are not just mere inconveniences. I get it. Painful loss, relationships, people, friends, agony of suffering, disease, etc. Nevertheless, for those who have been trained by it, it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness. All right? Good note to end on. I thank you for being with me today I'm Greg Koukl for Stand to Reason. Give them heaven. Bye-bye now.